Davidge. Welcome to another edition of After Hours. This week we began our series. We're doing a quick move through the book of Ephesians, a quick journey through Ephesians. We're calling Sit, Walk, Stand. And this is actually based on an old book that I read many years ago by a man named Watchman Nee. And so I thought I would talk about God's work in China, since we're looking at a book that the original concept kind of goes back to a Chinese writer, and then we're also praying for China this month. So Watchman Nee was a Christian leader back in China. He was born in 1903 and he lived all the way until 1972. It was a time of great turmoil in China, if you just think of during those years. He was raised in a Christian home, actually a Methodist home, but he did not really convert and become a Christian until he was actually off at college. He was around 17 years old. It was 1920. And when Nee was converted, he began to really grow in his Christian faith. He worked with a lot of different Western missionaries and also Chinese church leaders that were active. And he started developing his own theology and became an influential leader in China. Now, some of Watchman Nee's theology is coming out of the Plymouth Brethren movement and also what was known as the Keswick movement, some things that I would have some disagreements with. But he also had some rock solid insights into the Christian life. And of the many, many books and things that he wrote, the one that has probably had the most enduring impact has been this little book, Sit, Walk, Stand, where he talked about the three key verbs related to the Christian life in the book of Ephesians: sit, which is really chapters 1 through 3, walk, which is chapters 4 and 5 in the very beginning of 6, and then stand, which is our relationship towards the enemy in chapter 6. And so we're going to be looking at this, and it's an important reminder for us to realize that Watchman Nee, this great leader, when the communists took over, he had to suffer for his faith. He was imprisoned in the early 1950s and actually remained in prison till the end of his life. He was never set free, but he remained steadfast in his faith. There were many different stories that came out of his imprisonment and things going on. But the most important thing is he was steadfast in his faith. And in fact, the churches that he worked to help start in China, which were very many, people were worried when the communists took over that Christianity was in fact going to be crushed and cease to exist in China. But kind of when the curtain was moved back, decades later, what we found was Christianity had actually not only survived, it had thrived, it had grown, and that continues right down to our present day. And much of that is due to the work of men like Watchman Nee. Now, we're also this month praying for China and the particular work that we support there. And I want to encourage you to do that. China is a very, very strategic, important nation. At about 1.3 billion people, it is the most populous country on earth, just ahead of India. This is one of the reasons we've been engaged and involved in it. And many Christians don't even realize that there are actually more evangelical Christians in China than there are Christians in America, for example. The Chinese church has grown. It is still only about 5% or so, they think, of its population. There's much room for growth, but the church has been growing and thriving. It is once again suffering the fires of persecution. As we speak right now in 2019, Premier Xi in China has been leading a crackdown that has been affecting many different regions, including where we personally are engaged and trying to encourage and support work that is going on there. But the church continues to grow. There are actually more Christians in China than there are Communist Party members. No matter how much they try to squash the gospel, in the end, the gospel will survive. The gospel will continue. Kingdoms have arisen and fallen. This is not the first country that has declared they were going to bring Christianity to heel. It has never worked before, and it won't now. But we need to continue to pray for our brothers and sisters in China and be excited, learn about the great work that God is doing there and around the globe as the gospel is thriving as never before. So as we go through this series on Sit, Walk, Stand, I hope it'll be an encouragement to you in your Christian walk, but I also hope that it will help you as we move into spiritual warfare to be doing that for China and for God's work that is thriving and growing there in this wonderful country. Hope you have a great week. I look forward to gathering for worship again this Sunday. God bless.